This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
Damn, Rally. I feel like a broken record, man. It's another Victory Monday we get to celebrate, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I just finished giving blood, and the team won, so that's 2 wins, 2 W's for everybody. So, hey, let's get it, Ted.
And what a lot of people don't know, man, is Red Cross is something that you just kind of do all the time. And I always see pictures of you sitting in that chair, giving your blood, donating, and hats off to you, man. I'm actually organizing a blood drive coming up, and I'll definitely let you know when that happens. It's probably going to be next year. This weekend marked the 15th year anniversary of us losing Sean. And there was a lot going on this weekend in regards to it. We're going to have Steve Rosenberg join the show. Steve is the author of Going Full Speed, the Sean Taylor stories. He wrote a book, compiled a bunch of different stories from Pete Taylor and different teammates. He's going to jump on with us here in a little bit to talk about that. He actually spent the weekend with the family. We've got a packed show for you today. But man, I want to hear, how did the rally go on Saturday night? I saw pictures. I got text messages from my buddy, the GM there, with just fire emoji. So I'm assuming things were good. But what happened, man? I missed the party.
So, Ted, let me tell you, our fan base exceeded my expectations. Now, yes, I know I have a little bit of a following. You have a little bit of a following as well, and for it to be the first time that we've had a home rally in a long time, I pre-COVID, I don't even even before pre-COVID, I think 2017 possibly is the first time that we've ever really had a home rally. And we had roughly 150 to 175 people, and they showed up. Shout out to DJ Chuck B for spinning the tunes. DJ Mellow T stopped by. We have a new song that we put out called Commander Stomp. I collab with him, and big shout out to everybody who came from out of town to come see the game. And they were like, well, we didn't have anything to do, so we found out about this, and here we are. So, man, I was ecstatic, Ted. And it goes to show you that if you put the call out, people will come. And so I'm here to tell you that we're planning another one for the Dallas game.
Okay.
Yeah, for the Dallas game. But I'm unsure, because if you look at the schedule, Dallas has, even though it says January the 8th, it's TBD. So I'm not sure if that means that the time will be flexed to possibly a 8 o'clock game if we are in contention or something, or will it go to Saturday? So I'm trying to, it's just the time. So the date is
yeah.
Okay. So the date is good to go. It's just the time. So
yeah, the date's a lot.
Well, with that being said, then the rally will be Saturday night, and it will be for the marbles. I mean, because if this goes how we think it can go, the Commanders could be playing Dallas for some true contentions here, providing that we continue to win, man.
That's awesome. And to be able to get together for Dallas week, there are a bunch of those Bamas in our town anyway.
Yeah.
So they'll be showing up, and Burgundy and Gold Nation has got to show up as well. So that'd be phenomenal if we could all get together. And I'm going to try and make this one this time. I got really busy this past week, just getting everything taken care of. And we had a big week at the tailgate. We actually had a film crew come out for a TV show that me and the crew are going to be involved in, that I'm not allowed. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet. I haven't signed an NDA or anything like that, but just to be safe, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and you guys will
zip it.
You'll see it on socials after the fact. But I saw the pictures, man, and it looked like a fun time. And those of you that haven't been to one of rallies, I mean, it's just, imagine hundreds of strangers that you don't know their names, but they're like family. And that's really what it comes down to. Because even when we're at FedEx, I got some jackass sitting next to me yelling, put Howell in, put Howell in. This is before all the game drama or anything happens. I wanted to throw a beer at him, but I didn't want to waste $19. I mean, he was driving me crazy. But you're hanging out the night before. We're all riding this high right now. We're all just looking to come together and celebrate. That's what these things are about. And it's fun. And even if there are Falcons fans there or those Bama-ass Cowboy fans there, it's still a good time because football is really all we're kind of going back and forth on. Everything else takes side stage, man. But I'm glad to hear, and I'm looking forward to hearing where that next one's going to be in January, because that's going to be a huge game. I still got to find a white jacket or something to wear for that damn thing.
That's crazy to be in white. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Well, fingers crossed, it's going to be right back at 601 F Street, Guy Fieri's.
I can make that happen, man. I can make that happen. We just got to
yeah.
make sure there ain't a Caps game or something going on, but you know, we'll figure it out.
Well, so everybody who knows, just so everyone knows, we talked, and if there is a Caps game, let's just say the Caps game is at 7, we will roll the rally back to 8 because everyone will clear out from the restaurant by then, and we're going to make it work, bro.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it because I'm going to be there tomorrow. Those of you wondering, it's Monday the 28th at 4:30. I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock in the morning watching World Cup games all day. So if you guys are bored, you got nothing to do, download this, listen, and then come join me downtown in Chinatown because we're going to watch USA take on Iran and hopefully make it out of the first group of the World Cup. And I'll be down there at 10 in the morning watching the Netherlands, maybe eating some waffles and see what's going on in the morning. But I'm happy you did that. It really looked like a good time. And I got a chance to see you during the tailgate. And I wasn't sure if that was going to happen because it was raining and there was a lot going on with the Sean Taylor ceremony. But I appreciate you swinging by. I always ask you, man, what was the vibe in the lots? How was it walking around yesterday outside the stadium?
Pumped, bro. Now I'm not sure if it was a combination with, you know, Sean T, his ceremony, or was it the fact that we were 6-5, and the city is finally starting to come out. I swear that people listen to the DMV Mess Hall because when we tell people to put aside their dislike for DS, I really felt as though they put that aside and really focused on the matter at hand, and that's supporting the 53 in between the lines, bro. FedEx finally starting to bump, bro.
It was, man. And I typically factor in attrition for rain games. And we had about 300 people registered for the tailgate. I'm thinking, okay, 300 people, it's raining, people aren't going to want to come out. We'll maybe have 125, 150 people. Nah, man, we had pretty close to what I had assumed. And at one point, we actually ran out of some food, which usually doesn't happen, other than maybe some people were extra hungry after fasting after they ate their Thanksgiving meals, or they were still stuffed from Thanksgiving, so they didn't eat until they came to the tailgate. I don't know, but there were so many people out there. We had 7 tents set up, everyone huddled in close quarters under those tents, so hopefully everyone got boosted. But, you know, we were all outdoors, so it was okay. But it was a party, man. We had the DJ out there. We had everything going. In my section of the lots, you would have thought that it was a playoff game, the way everyone was just kind of so excited and so jacked. And even when the rain came, no one left. Everyone still hung out. And we all waited to march into that stadium together. And it's not a vibe I have felt since maybe the Kirk year when he brought us to the playoffs. And it's starting to feel that way around town. I mean, I'm a little bummed I don't have a copy of that new song you got with Mellow T to put on our board right now because I've been playing that in the background. But, you know, the left hand up guy was on the Jumbotron, you know, everyone right now is rallying around the Commanders. And if you're not, I ain't got time for it. No. I really don't give a damn about you if you're not jumping behind this team, because I went to Virginia to get ready for the tailgate and I put in 2 bets. I put in a parlay that I haven't checked to see if it hit yet. And I was this close to putting a bet on the Falcons to cover, but I didn't think they were going to win. I thought they were going to cover for a minute. And watching the game, starting to get a little nervous. I was starting to pucker up a little bit there after Joey Slide missed that kick, but I'm jumping ahead. It was just fun to be back at the stadium. We weren't flooded with Falcons fans, and even the ones that were there were very respectful.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have a ton to hoot and holler about right now. Did you make it in time for the Sean Taylor memorial piece at 11:45?
I did. And it was exciting, but it was also, if I'm gonna be me, it was also a little maybe I had higher hopes. I had higher expectations. And so I liked, let me tell you, the display case, 1 in a million. That display, I mean, the way it's lit up, I love that to death. I didn't necessarily like, I expected more. And maybe that's something that I think that drummed in my head, thinking that I was going to see something like what Ray Lewis has in Baltimore, or McMahon has, Peyton Manning has in Indianapolis. That's what I was thinking of. And so when I saw that, I was kind of, down a little bit, but then there was an upside. And so that's what I had to go away from the downside and view the upside. Now, I think that in the future, the way that they have the Solar Man outside, if they wanted to do something and have a true statue, I think that will be warranted. Or even if you wanted to maybe look at a statue for him and some other guys, if they wanted to do that, I think that would be appropriate as well. So yeah.
You had a lot of people calling into sports talk radio around town today, and it's Victory Monday.
Yeah.
I love our fan base, but sometimes they drive me absolutely insane, man. It's Victory Monday. And I try and not talk about or, care about the negative stuff today. Let's enjoy it, because these things don't happen a lot. We've won 7 games. Rivera, his first 2 seasons here, has only won 7 games each season. So right now, we're kind of free rolling, and the guys, they've got a groove going on. We got the Giants coming up.
Yeah,
they've lost 2 in a row. They're banged up. They got a ton of injuries. We got a chance. Right now, we're in the playoffs. All 4 teams in the NFC East are in the playoffs as of today, if the season ended today. We know it doesn't end today. But there's so many positive things to focus on right now, but I missed the statue unveiling. I was at the tailgate. I didn't get in the stadium until about 12:50. So I wanted to go walk over there because, I've said it on the show a lot. You all that follow know me, Sean means a ton to me. It means a ton to all of us. So I wanted to be over there. And I didn't see any of the social media stuff that happened when it first got unveiled. And next thing I know, there's a bunch of people huddled around it just talking trash. And I had people pointing out, why'd they use Adidas cleats? What's going on here? This and that. And for those of you that haven't seen it, check this out on YouTube, or, I'm sure you've seen it on social media by now.
Somewhere, yeah.
But it is kind of a wire mannequin, and it has burgundy and gold burgundy pants, and it has a white Redskins jersey and a Redskins helmet. People are nitpicking about the fact that it's Reebok pants and a Nike jersey and this and that, and the fact that it had gloves on when Sean didn't wear gloves. And it started to just get me angry and frustrated. And I took my pictures in front of it, and I had to walk away because there were so many people that huddled around that thing were just trying to be Adam Schefter, trying to break news stories and this and that on their social media for their 10 followers. And I had one guy starting to put his camera up and trying to get my live reaction of it. I'm like, dude, you don't know me. Yeah, I'm not going to talk to you and trying to help boost your followers so you can do this, so you can bash the team, this and that. The team never said the word statue.
No,
so
they didn't.
We all got in our heads that it was going to be some type of statue. They just said a memorial installation.
My hands up. I'm one of the ones. So yeah.
And the thing I have a problem with is the face mask didn't have tape on it. I've got
Right.
no issues with a Nike jersey versus a Reebok pants or whatever else. I don't care that it was a wire mannequin. Does not matter to me. I'm just frustrated, and I've spoken to them after the fact that, Sean was iconic for his face mask. They have a hoodie from the Sean Taylor Legacy Project with the face mask taped up. How can you not have that done? Because I can understand the fact that, okay, Reebok doesn't make jerseys anymore. They're not licensed to do it. So maybe that was an issue. And for fans out there don't know, Sean wore soccer cleats. Sean enjoyed using soccer cleats better than football cleats because they felt lighter on his feet and he felt faster. And hats off to Jackie Taylor and the family. That young woman is, I think, 16 years old. She had a bunch of cameras and microphones in her face trying to get her live reaction. And you can see her trying to keep her composure because it's a very emotional moment. For all those fans out there that don't believe me, listen to what Jackie said right here.
You're a designer, right? You help with clothing. So what do you think of the design of this memorial?
Pretty cool, honestly.
Do you have a favorite part?
I'd probably say the soccer cleats, because that's something that was super, special to him and something that he chose to do, that not many.
And I apologize for that being so loud, but they're in the concourse and it was kind of tough to hear. But she said the soccer cleats. I mean, it's that little tidbit there that a lot of you that don't know, now you do. And there are some fans of this franchise that all they care about is trying to find the next thing wrong. You ever go to the bar and play that game where it's two pictures side by side and they're not identical? One has a couple things wrong and the other is what you're supposed to compare it to, and then you circle the wrong spots?
Yeah.
That's people when it comes to this team. They're always looking for the wrong thing instead of trying to celebrate the positive thing. And the family enjoyed it. They came down here, and all you have are these just negative Nancy's and naysayers. And don't get me wrong, I criticize the team. I will admit it 100%. And they know I do. We've had discussions about it. That's why I'm not an employee of theirs. But I criticize them at times when it's warranted, when they screw things up. But to have Sean trending today for something like this, the day after the anniversary of his passing, has really bothered me, when we all should be celebrating what those players did on that field and the legacy he has made for us. And that's just, it's something that I'm going to have to get over and get past. But if you're one of those people that's all you care about is the sock had a hole in it, don't follow me. Don't listen to me. Don't pay attention to me. I'm not going to speak for you, but I don't want to have anything to do with these people, because to me, those people are a cancer that are just looking for anything negative, and it's a scab they just kind of want to pick at.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, Ted. You said a mouthful a couple sentences back, and what you said was the family enjoyed it. So from this point on, I've got nothing else to say about it, because where it matters the most, realistically, is the family, and they didn't have an issue with it. So because they don't have an issue with it, I'm going to forego any bad thoughts or whatever you want to put on it and throw it away, because ultimately it's not up for me. Yeah, I love ST as well as anybody, but it's not up for me. It's up to the family. And as long as they like it, then I'm going to love it. And that's all I'm going to say about it, bro.
No, I'm right there with you, man. And speaking of family, we've got Steve Rosenberg. Steve is the author of Going Full Speed, the Sean Taylor stories. And Steve, I know you worked on this book a while ago, and some of our listeners are familiar with it. But for those that are not, how did the idea of the book come about?
I met Pete Taylor on the field at a Redskins-Dolphins game when his son Gabe was about 10 years old. And they were honoring him and his Pee-wee team that week. The Dolphins were, as the team of the month, I guess. And I'm standing on the field, and my son was wearing a University of Miami Sean Taylor jersey. He taps me on the shoulder and he says, "You see that guy over there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know who that is?" I said, "No, should I?" He said, "That's Sean Taylor's father." I said, "How do you know?" He goes, "Look at him. He looks just like him." I said, "You want to meet him?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "All right, stay right there." And I walked over to the gentleman. I said, "Are you Mr. Taylor?" He said, "Yes, I am." I said, "Oh, it's very nice to meet you." I said, "You see that kid over there?" He goes, "Yeah, nice jersey." So I knew we had something special immediately, like after one sentence. So we start talking. I said, "Do me a favor." He's a huge fan of Sean's. You just say hello, shake his hand, take a picture, something. "Sure, absolutely. Gaby, come here. We're going to take a picture." So his little son comes running over with his cousin, I guess. And they come over and we take a picture. And that classic, iconic photo is on the inside cover of the hardback version of Going Full Speed. It's the first picture that you see, is when my son met, we all met Pete at the same time. So we got to talking. I said, I told him who I was, an ad agency up in Washington, D.C., and I worked with a lot of players. Of course, he knew every single one of them. I said, maybe we can do something together. Let's exchange information. Maybe I can get you some endorsements or, something. So we exchanged information. They ushered us off the field. And before you know it, we started communicating. And to make a long story short, after a while, we decided the best way to go about doing this is a book. Now, I won't exactly say I'm an author because it's really Pete Taylor's story with a whole bunch of other stories from people you will definitely recognize and some you won't, like teachers, family members, coaches, players, roommates, teammates, and everybody tells their favorite Sean Taylor story. So I consider myself more of an orchestrator and some side comments along the way to kind of piece the story together. But the story itself is on Pete Taylor's timeline from when he started, how he came to come to the United States, talked a little about his upbringing, his father, blah, 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 all the way through the end of Sean's life. And then at the end, I asked everybody that we spoke to, all the interviewers, where were you when you found out what happened to Sean? And let me tell you something. Most of them cried. When I was speaking to them, they cried. When we were typing the book and editing the book, we cried. And it's so emotional. Oh, I forgot to tell you. When I met him for the first time, I'm talking to him by myself, and all of a sudden I start crying like a baby. And he puts his hand behind me and taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. It'll be fine." And I'm like, who is this guy? So, like I said, we had this instant rapport. We talked about doing the book. It's a very emotional experience. It's a very emotional read. I tell everybody who's a fan to make sure they read this book with a box of Kleenex.
I can imagine. And I've read the book. And you and I actually were supposed to sit down when you were gathering content for the book, but you had a ton of stories already for it. And each and every one of us that are Washington fans have our favorite memory of Sean. And I'm getting choked up over here on my end, just thinking about remembering where I was when I heard the news of what had happened to him. But how long did it take you to gather the content for the book itself?
Thank God for Pete Taylor. He has a Rolodex beyond belief. And the interesting thing was that every single person that he spoke to said the same thing. Anything for Sean. Anything for Sean. Over and over, we heard anything for Sean. And they were more than, they all wanted to participate and they all wanted to share the stories. Now, I promised each one of them that they were going to be recorded and their words were going to be in the book word for word. In other words, If you curse, it's going in the book. But I will tell people ahead of time, if foul language, specifically the N-word, so if that bothers you, don't read this part. I put that right at the head of the chapter because I know it's a very sensitive, words are very sensitive to a lot of people. And I just let people know, and I let the people that I interviewed know, whatever you say, how you say it, it's going in the book. I am not going to edit you. And that went a long way. And so the gathering of all that information, I would say, took about 13, 14 months. The longest part of gathering the information and what were the approvals for the photos by the NFL. They had to approve all the pictures. In fact, on the cover, if you have the book, you'll notice that you cannot see the NFL badge right underneath the neck, V-neck on the jersey. Mm-hmm. They made us cut it off because it's an implied endorsement, and they did not endorse having the logo being part of this book. Now, if you go in the book, and there are 60 pictures in there, by the way, you can see they approved it for the inside, but not the outside. And it took forever for them. So I said, from beginning to end, it took about 2 years with the editing, with the picture gathering, and we had to get sign off from the Miami Herald. We had to get pictures from the Reds. At the time, we had to get pictures from Washington Redskins. They had to prove everything. We had to sign off on them that this is what we're going to use them for. We're not going to use them for publicity, blah, 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 blah. And that's how come they let us do this. So about the answer to your question is about 2 years.
It's a lot of red tape to have to go through. And I can only imagine a monstrosity like the NFL, how much you have to deal with getting small things like that approved. But I'm looking at a copy of the book here. For those of you that have not read the book, you can get a copy. My recommendation is at caneswear.com. Those of you out there, I put a tweet of it on there. And if you're watching our YouTube page, you can actually find it here. But can you share why people should go to Caneswear for, Steve? Why that is a particular site that's got something special for fans?
Well, as I was telling you earlier today, I said, I want people to shop around because everybody thinks they're getting a deal on Amazon. Trust me, you're not. If you go to Amazon today and you look for Going Full Speed, it'll come up hardback $49.99. Okay. If you go to Barnes and Noble, it'll go list price $31.99. If you go to Caneswear, CANESWEAR.com and type in Going Full Speed, not only is the book cheaper there right now on sale for $29.99, but it's autographed by me, Pete Taylor, and bonus Gabriel Taylor, Sean's youngest brother, who also plays safety. He plays football safety for Rice University. So you'll get 3 signatures. You cannot get that anywhere else. So you'll get an autographed copy for cheaper. Now, if you just want to read it and you don't care about the autographs, you can get it in a Kindle version or an ebook version for $2.99. That's like less than a cup of coffee. So if you want to read it, it's a great read. Like I said, make sure you have a box of tissues because some parts will make you laugh, some parts will make you cry, and some parts you'll say, did that really happen? And the answer is, oh, yeah.
And for those of you out there looking for ideas for the holidays for your loved ones, there's 2 books that I can't recommend enough. One is by a friend of mine, Rick Snyder, 100 Things Commanders Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die. And the other one is this book by Steve. I mean, Sean means a lot to all of us. The team honored him this past Sunday, being the 15th year anniversary of his passing. And Steve, I know you've become close with the family. You were there last year when they retired his number. You were there this weekend with the family when they had the memorial installation installed there and the event at the team store and everything else. Can you share really how all of that was?
Since meeting the Taylors in 2013, the Rosenbergs and the Taylors had become very close. When we go to our place in Florida, we get together for lunches and dinners and parties and what have you. When I tell you we are close we are family. They treat us like part of the family. We treat them like part of the family. And it's a very unusual relationship because I feel like, and when other people meet him for the first time, it's like you're in the presence of royalty. It's like Pete Taylor is a superstar, and he didn't play for the Redskins / Commanders. He's the dad, and people revere him, and he's so nice, and the family is so nice. Long story short, they invited us to come and be part of the celebration. So we spent the entire weekend with them, and even when Gabe Taylor was introducing my son around, he goes, "This is my other brother, Glenn." It's so friendly. I can't describe the feeling you get when you're with that part of the family. So if you go to Twitter and you go to Meow Say Tongue, MEOWSAY, tongue, like stick your tongue out, you'll see some of the pictures that I posted from the weekend. And it's like a behind the scenes look at what it was like being with the Taylors, people chasing after Gabe, people chasing after Jackie. Jackie, it was her weekend. Jackie, baby Jackie, as we call her. Her mom's named Jackie as well. Baby Jackie Taylor was the one who did the coin flip. She was the honorary captain. It was part of the coin flip at the beginning of the game. Well, after that, the press was after her all over the place. So she was in the suite, and the cameras just kept coming, and the journalists just wanted to talk to Gabriel and Gabriel because he's playing football and he's in the shadow of Sean, and of course, baby Jackie, because she's the only surviving daughter of Sean, and she's about 16 and a half. And her mom, Jackie, was a soccer player at VT, and so is the daughter. Baby Jackie's also a soccer player and excellent, from what I understand. Never saw her play, but I've been watching Gabe play basketball and football since he was 10 years old. I mean, I used to go to games with them. Like I said, when we're part of the family, we get invited to all kinds of things. I actually saw him playing at Gulliver. And I just want to make a quick mention of something. 3 players that passed away got shot at the Virginia Tech. One of them was Deshaun Perry. And I know his dad. When you see news about shootings at schools and what have you, it's like, oh, okay, another shooting. But when you know the family, like I do, I didn't know Deshaun, but I know his dad. It is the saddest thing in the world. And for me, that brought back memories of Sean Taylor getting shot and killed. It's just such a sad thing. But what I'm trying to bring out is when Deshaun was a senior at Gulliver, he played for Gulliver in Miami. He played on the same team, the football team, with Gabe Taylor. So it's extra sad for me knowing that was part of the Taylor legacy. So when I found out what happened, I called Pete. I said, "Hey, did you hear what happened?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm on my way over there right now." So they're still close with the Perrys, and he was heading over. So I talked to him when he was hitting the driveway. So it's all one big family, and that's what I'm trying to bring out. So you can revere these people, but you got to understand that the people that are left are the ones that are suffering. The families are suffering. The Perrys are so distraught right now. And I really wanted to talk about that too, because we forget that when you boo them on the field and scream at them and throw things at them, fine, they're players, they make a lot of money. But, they have families. They're people like, I hate to say this, the old cliche, like you and me. They're just people, and they make mistakes. So please, folks, keep that in mind when you decide to scream at the players or yell at the referees. It's just people don't understand. I mean, they don't realize what they're doing, and that's part of this whole thing, which I'm sure you're going to talk about the negativity surrounding this weekend, which was just sad.
That's definitely a great word of advice there, Steve. And for those that don't know, and it's something that we've been trying to stress here on the Mess Hall and just all over social media, is that Jackie helped design and curate the Sean Taylor Legacy Project limited edition gear. And let me repeat, all of the proceeds from the sale of all that merchandise is going to help prevent gun violence. We lost Sean to gun violence. I mean, he was not supposed to be in Tampa at the time. He was hurt and missed the game that week and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he passed away defending the life of Jackie and then his, girlfriend at the time. And it's just such a tragic incident. And now, with Gabe's classmate at UVA and losing him to gun violence. And it's just so prevalent in our society today that if you get a chance to go out there and get some of this gear, those of you that could not make it to the stadium this weekend, you can grab some of it from Fanatics, to try and help keep Sean's legacy alive, but also knowing that his daughter, who was too young to remember what had happened, is trying to make her impact on keep her father's legacy alive by hopefully helping save others from these senseless crimes and senseless acts. But Steve, I really appreciate you jumping on here with us today. Thank you for taking the time. And one of these days, I'm going to get a chance to actually sit down with you, maybe at Bob and Edith's or another one of the diners around town, and break some bread with you and share some of my stories with Sean, because I've got a couple when I used to do a show out at Redskins Park, and I got to know him. And every time I hear people talk about him, I get goosebumps and I get choked up because he meant that much to us. And it's like you said, those fans out there that are turning this weekend into a negative, think about how that's making the Taylor family feel. Because there's a clip that I'm going to cut up and play. Jackie was most proud of the Adidas cleats that the statue had on, because it was the small things like that that her dad did, and they honored that before people start ridiculing and calling things out that they don't know anything about. But is there any lasting word that you want to leave us with, Steve?
Well, before I do that, you said we can meet at one of the local diners. I have a better idea. After the season's over, I want to invite you and Mrs. Tailgate to come join us in Florida. You can hang out with us. We can actually do the stories with Papa Taylor. How does that sound?
That sounds a lot better than being frozen up here in hopefully February.
It's a lot warmer down there, pal.
It definitely is. It definitely is, Steve. I've got audio and video of this now, so I'm going to have to hold you to it. And you'll definitely see me down there in Miami or down in Florida.
My friend, and I consider you my friend. I've known you for quite a long time, and I am honored and privileged to be part of this podcast, by the way. And so I want to thank you for that. And so come on down and hang out with us down there in Florida. And you might not want to leave, because there's room for you. There's room for you in my place. And we're right across the street from the beach. So you like the sand and the water? Go out on the balcony. You'll see it right from the balcony. Yes. So this book, I call it a labor of love. And you need to, if you're a fan and you don't have this book yet, or if you're looking for a fantastic gift for the Commanders fan, the Sean Taylor fan, the memory of Sean in your family or your friends, this is what you need to do. You need to go to caneswear.com, get that autographed copy by the three of us, Pete, myself, and Gabe Taylor. That autograph's going to be worth something one day. You'll see. And read it, and then read it again. It's that good. We have mostly 5-star reviews on Amazon, and the fans just love this thing. And so thank you once again for having me on. I'd love to come on again one day. You can ask me some more questions. And I've got some news for you, Tailgate Ted.
All
I
right.
spoke to Gabe yesterday about the podcast, and he's definitely going to come on.
No, I appreciate that, Steve. We're looking forward to having him on and having you back on as well. This has been a pleasure, and really the
Anytime.
honor is all ours, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Have a great week, and happy holidays to you.
All right. Go Commanders. You take care. We really appreciate Steve Rosenberg jumping on with us to here. And I mean, it means a lot that he decided to join us. We are looking forward to having him and Gabe Taylor on, Sean's little brother, in the future. But we want to get to the game. We really want to get to, you know, the meat of the matter, what the mess hall is about. And I haven't had a chance to go back and rewatch it, but I did see that Chase was declared inactive, and I didn't realize why. Did you know why he missed the game?
Well, they said an illness. And so one thing that I was talking to Doc, and Doc Walker, that is, and the DOC, and he said that he had a little bit of a something. So something obviously is going around, and it's just what it is. Now, what I'm hoping is that that is true, that it was something and nothing, not something else. But your mind always thinks, all right, what's going on? Is there something else behind the scenes? They said it was a sickness, so I gotta let it be that it was a sickness.
Yeah, and this was actually Coach Rivera after the game talking about how close Chase was to playing this week.
I'm sorry.
With Chase Young, how close was he?
Well, you know, he had a good week a good day on Wednesday, and we were pretty excited about it. You know, he wasn't feeling very well last night, I guess, and then this morning, you know, he was still not feeling good, and you know, we wanted to get him on the field to see, you know, how he responded to the week, because he had a big week, and it's really about, you know, how he is on the field, and that's what we wanted. Unfortunately, we felt we should send him home. There was the flu bug had gone through a few of our guys. We had to send home a couple days, and then he got it, and we just couldn't take the chance of him being around and infecting anybody, you know. And again, it's you know, we'll see where he is on Wednesday, you know. And again, he had, like I said, he had a good day Wednesday. We were pretty excited. You saw me on Friday. I really, you know, but we'll see.
So I didn't know that he had the flu. I'm thinking to myself when I heard, because someone mentioned it at the tailgate, that Chase was inactive. It's like, okay, well, it's raining. They don't want him to play on the rain out there. It's going to be a nasty day. So I'm fine with it. We'll see him in 3 weeks versus the Giants. And I don't know if he's going to play this week. We'll talk about that on our Wednesday show. It's just the Giants have a horrible field.
Worse than FedEx. Yeah. Worse than FedEx. So all you FedEx Field haters, all right? There's something worse finally, okay? Gee.
They have a really bad field. The NFLPA has actually filed complaints about it because a ton of people are getting hurt on that thing. And the way this defense is playing, you know what? Sit him out until he comes back home after the bye week. I'm perfectly fine with that because the guys are making a push right now. And the way they're playing, I'm not saying we don't need them. You can always have more talent on the field, but hey, get better. And some of our fans, if I didn't know, I'm sure some of our fans didn't know that that's why he wasn't there, because I'm thinking, all right, he's inactive. I'm still looking for him on the sideline, yelling and cheering and jumping up and down and screaming with the guys. And he just wasn't, I guess he wasn't at the game. I don't know if he was in a box.
Not when you're sick, bro. And it's raining too. And the temperatures are kind of funny the way they were. I mean, let's face it. You're married. You know, I'm married. I have kids. And one thing that we know is once that flu bug hits one person, it's bound to bounce. And Coach said it. A couple other guys already had it. So the next thing you know, if he's there, you don't want to get everybody else sick for potentially next week against the Giants. So it's always best, even at work. My job always says, if you're sick, stay home. So, because we don't want it to spread throughout the whole freaking employment area. So stay. I'm glad he did. And hopefully he's, fingers crossed, that he is feeling better and that he can get back on the practice field in some better conditions, if you will, so that, like you said, after the bye, hey, man, let that dog eat. Let him eat, man. He's
going to be hungry, just like all those people at the tailgate yesterday. So
I was one of them, bro. I had a couple of hot dogs, some peach cobbler, some green. Hey, who made those greens?
Right here, man. You like those collard greens?
Hey, bro, those greens were good, man.
I
didn't know you could make greens, Ted. Come on, bro. I didn't know.
I had a couple of people come up to me and say, "Man, are you sure you're not part black?" Because after they had the collard greens and the shrimp and grits, they said they'd adopt me in the family. So.
Yeah, bro. I mean, hey, man, I was surprised, bro. I really was. Let's face it. You go to a lot of tailgates, and sometimes the food is bland. It just is.
Yeah.
Just call it what it is.
I've never been to other ones at FedEx, but I hear you.
Okay. And so you're like, oh, okay. All right. That's why I said, who made those greens?
I got out there at 7:30 in the morning and started simmering those bad boys, man. So it was a good time. But just don't tell the vegetarians that I used some ham hock in that thing, because you got to have that for flavor.
Hey, it's just you and our 2 listeners' secret, man.
There you go. There you go. But heading into this, man, I mean, since week 6, our winning percentage, we're first since week 6. I mean, we started the season off 1-4. And I was calling for, not for Rivera's head, but saying we're in limbo because this guy doesn't know what he's doing, not a good coach. And it's completely turned around. It's a little misleading because we haven't had our bye week yet, but the rankings in the NFL entering into that Monday Night Football game, our winning percentage is .857. That's first in the NFL. Our turnover margin is first with +7. Time of possession margin is second with 7 minutes and 6 seconds. Our points allowed were third. Our yards allowed were third. Our penalties were fifth. And our 3-and-out offensive drives were fourth. So, I mean, this is a complete turnaround from what happened earlier on this year with this team. And we've talked about the defensive turnaround. You know, you kind of chop off William Jackson III. I even forgot that he was on this team at this point, but the defense is playing a lot better now.
Yeah.
But going into, the offensive side of the ball, it can't just be Taylor. I mean, what do you think has really changed this thing around from an offensive perspective, to the fact that, we're now second in the league with time of possession and yards and everything else there?
Well, I think that the coaches finally, as I used to always say in our previous podcast, hey, you're the coach. You are the father hen of your chicklets, or whatever you want to call it, your ducklings. So because of that, you know what your strengths and weaknesses are supposed to be for each player. We realize that necessarily pass pro may not be 100% pass pro may not be where we need to be. Let these guys fire out and hit someone versus backing up. You've got 2 stallions who are ready to run. Actually, now 3 stallions, 3 stallions who are ready to doggone knock somebody's block off and sprinkle in a pass here and there. And that's what we're seeing, man. That identity, I think for a long time, we were trying to pass the ball so much. Let's face it, we had Carson, and what do we always talk about? Carson's arm. Carson can throw the ball deep. Carson can make all the throws. He can do all that. And so they made it a pass-centric offense, when in all reality, I believe our offensive line, it's the same offensive line, but it's harder to pass block versus run block. And you trust your runners behind you, because if I'm not mistaken, B. Rob was getting 5 yards a clip.
Yeah, man.
So that's what we were built on. And then, as I said, sprinkle a pass in here or there, and don't sprinkle a pass for Taylor across the middle while he's in the pocket. He can't do it. That's something that a father hen needs to know, that his little duckling can't do that. Get him out of harm's way, out of those big boys, so he can see what he's doing, because he'll let us down throwing it across the middle in the pocket.
Well, the first play of the game was a play action to Terry in the pocket, and he actually hit Terry kind of on a dig there. So, but the key is that play action sucked everybody in. And at a certain point, some of the guys, they were just dropping back in coverage, kind of playing a cover 3. So they stopped those deep passes. And look, Heineke didn't have the best day, but he didn't get sacked. The guys gave him some time. And once they made some adjustments, this was actually the first time since week 1 that we've scored on an opening drive. I mean, I was surprised, but like you said, I mean, we ran the ball. Taylor only dropped back 23 times. It wasn't a ton. And I have no idea if the coaching staff got scared, like I was getting scared, because there were a couple of passes he threw on a couple of deep outs. He had the one picked that he threw to Terry, where you can just tell he didn't have the arm for that ball. And he read it late. And then there was another one where he tried to hit, I want to say it might have been John Bates out in the flat, kind of as a release dump off. And we're lucky the defender wasn't paying attention, because that ball just kind of hung out there. And I don't know if he just couldn't get a good grasp on the ball because of the weather and the rain or whatever else. But thank goodness Scott Turner realized we just got to start running this thing. So we had 37 carries. I want to say 36 carries, really, because one of them was Heineke on a -1 yard carry. I don't know why that wasn't a sack. Maybe it was a design run, I guess. But Brian Robinson had 18 for 105. But I want to see what his average yards after contact was, because, man, there were a couple times when he would get hit at the line of scrimmage and still drag guys for 3 or 4 more yards. I mean, he's relentless.
That goes back to what I said, Peter roll. Remember we talked about that a couple episodes back? Peter roll. He's Peter rolling people.
He is. And he's just putting the team on his back. He actually got the game ball from coach. Did you see his big hat?
Yes.
In the locker room? I mean, that's why I go back to saying these guys are having fun. They've got a mentality right now of that old Tupac song, "It's Me Against the World." And that's what I'm thinking when I see all of those guys inside that locker room. It's them against everybody else right now. And all they need is in that locker room. That's
hold on,
it.
Ted. Hold on, Ted. So let me get this straight. You got grits, you got greens, you got Tupac. You sure you're not Black and East?
I live in Northeast, man. I'm just saying. Chuck Brown did know him pretty well, you know. So I've been living here my whole life. But
look at you. You got me.
I also have my DC proper hoodie on right now too. So gotta represent.
It is fire, and I'm so upset that I don't have mine on. I don't have one, so I gotta get on the boat, man, and get mine, man. That thing is fire,
fix that,
bro.
Man. And we're actually going to have those guys on, I think maybe next week or the week after, to talk about the gear, the line, and everything else. I'm looking forward to that interview.
Can't wait.
But it's just, there's so many things happening with all the outside noise between the owner stuff, the stadium stuff, just everything else going on. But all those guys are doing is huddling together and putting up dubs.
Yep.
They're not the prettiest at times, but they're putting up wins. And leading in towards the fourth quarter, I mean, the Falcons, they were moving down that field, man. And I was getting a little bit worried, a little bit nervous. And even before that, after the Falcons went up 10-7, John Allen huddled the entire defense together. And I was listening on the radio broadcast. They basically had to edit it out or step away, saying that some of that stuff was unsafe for air, considering some of the words John and the guys are using, because they were running all over us, man. Nobody could hit Mariota on that read option.
No,
I was getting nervous. Right. Holmes was in there for Benjamin St. Juice. I feel like they were kind of picking on him, and it was getting frustrating. I'm thinking, damn, we knew they ran the ball. They were averaging, I want to say, 8 yards a carry at a point during the game. And we had no answer. Mariota averaged 8.2 yards a carry. He only carried it 6, but it felt like he ran that ball all damn day long. I mean, what was the sentiment in the stands over by you? Because they're just running up and down on us. Were people kind of losing hope, or were they starting to pucker up a little bit, or did the rally captain keep them calm?
Well, it was a little bit of everything, Ted. We went through our highs and lows, bro. And one thing that I noticed was they ran a lot of misdirection with the read option.
Oh yeah.
Meaning that if the line would shift to the left or a person would go in motion to the left, they run to the right. And I was saying, calm down, guys. Let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. We'll be okay. We've got to figure it out. And eventually they did. But like you said, no one was panicking though. It was just a matter of just saying, come on, guys, we're better than this. And so I'm sure that that's what John said to them in so many words.
Well, this is actually what Coach Rivera said when he was asked about the bend but don't break run defense.
The Falcons did have some success running the football, but what does it show about your defense that even though there was a little bit of bend there wasn't any break?
Well, and Jack will have a few words for that. I could tell you that much. He was not happy with some of the things that went on out there, and deservedly so. We should get on them, and I know they got on themselves, and they expect themselves to be better. But like I said, that's a very good football team. There really is, and what Arthur Smith is doing is tremendous. He's bringing along a good group of football players, and as they continue to get their opportunities, they're going to be a better team. They really are, and they've done some good things in Atlanta.
We talked about it in our preview show. The Falcons were averaging about $154 a game on the ground. They had 167, so they overachieved this past week. But they were also averaging 23.5 points a game. That defense stepped up. We held them to 13 points. I mean, when it finally mattered, they made some defensive adjustments coming back after halftime. They made some more adjustments going in the fourth. When it finally mattered, they got to Mariota. He got flustered. They got into some 3rd and long situations. They got into some penalties that really kind of set them behind the chains, and the guy stepped up, and you could just feel the momentum shifting at Fedex Field. I mean, they only had 2 penalties for 20 yards. We were penalized more, but there were a couple key ones where I think they had a holding penalty that got the ball dragged back and just different stuff. And I had people in my section at the end of the game that were yelling, just let them score, just let them score. And I wanted to throw a beer at that guy too, thinking, what are you talking about?
Maybe he had a bet in or something, Ted.
I don't, he was a Commanders fan. I mean, just.
He may have had a bet in because, well, let me say this. I was upset with Joey Sly because Joey Sly messed my money up. He messed my money up. He did. So, I've been on the road betting the odds.
Gotcha.
That the score ended in an odd number. And, it's like blackjack. You win a couple hands. Let's say it was a $5 bet. You put a $5. You say, oh, I'm winning. I'm gonna put 20 up this time. And then you win that one. Oh, I'm gonna put 25 up. You start feeling yourself, Ted. I was feeling myself, bro. I said, man, I'm not gonna disclose how much, but I said I'm gonna put a little bit extra on this odd. That doggone Joey Sly. Had he made that field goal, I just would have been a happier man. How about that? I'm happy, but I would have been a happier man.
I wouldn't have stressed as much if he made that field goal because, I mean, they're coming down that field. It's just, I'm sitting in the stands and I'm thinking to myself, storylines for the show today, thinking, what the hell are we going to talk? Not what we're going to talk about, but how bad can we start just berating Joey Sly? Do we have to pull, what was it? The replacements and go in the parking lot and flip his car over like they did to the one guy that was crossing the strike line. I mean, what's going on here? Because usually if you miss a field goal, you miss an extra point, it comes back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
And when it came down to that goal line stand, thinking, you got to be kidding me. We're going to lose this game because of Joey Sly. They're going to tie this thing up. They're on the road. Who knows? They might go for 2. We're not able to stop the run. And it was almost like it was fate, man. And that was in your end zone. And hats off to you and everyone that's over there for making noise and just doing all y'all did, because I'm yelling and screaming and I'm at the 30-yard line on the opposite end zone. And I know you guys were down there and I saw you at one point just beating the wall. You got your flag going on. I think you had a guy like a couple seats down that had another flag too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was trying to be like Rally Captain Jr. over there. But, it was a sight to see, man. For those of you that don't get a chance to watch it at the stadium, the TV doesn't do it any justice because you guys had that section loud and jumping. I know they had a hard time hearing, but Deron Payne has not. Man. It is, man. It is. And that's why we go with these games. But Duran has not batted a ball down. He has not deflected a single pass all season.
He hasn't? You sure? I thought he has done at least one.
According to Zach Selby, he has not batted one down all season. And I'm going with what Zach says because he's paid by the team.
All right.
Duran put his left hand up, deflected that ball, and K Full caught that INT, man. And I wish Premonition would have played the song right then. Yeah. And we could have had a mic drop moment, because that to me was it. That's right there, something that maybe we can ride on till the postseason, because that single moment from Duran and the defense. Yeah, we stopped Justin Fields at the goal line in Chicago, barely, with that tackle right there. But to stop Mariota and their rushing attack after they had been going up and down the field on us, to hold them right there, and it wouldn't have been for a go-ahead, but they could have potentially had a walk-off 2-point conversion, but to hold them right there, man, that was massive. I can't stress it enough.
Lady Luck is on our side, bro. And because of that, those haters can't stand us. Left hand up. Who are we?
The Commanders.
There you go. There you go.
You go.
I was wondering if you were going to catch it. I threw it to you. It was a softball lob.
We've been doing this enough, bro. And John Keim actually asked Ron Rivera, what's the next step for this team? And Rivera said the next step for this team is consistency, and score a few more points and not allow a few more points. And instead of winning by 1 score, maybe win a few more by 2 or 3 scores. Yeah. That's the next evolution. And, I know Coach was, tongue in cheek with his comments and just kind of joking with the media. That's what happens on a Victory Monday. Coach is in a good mood. You get him not yelling and screaming and beating the table, and I've got to edit the actual audio of it. But, the guys are playing, and the team is rallying around him. The city's rallying around him. Brian Robinson had his first touchdown catch. Did you hear B-Rob's quote from that catch?
No.
This is Brian talking about it, man. And this just gets me motivated.
Brian, can you take us through the touchdown catch and just kind of your thought process when you saw those couple defenders?
I mean, you catch the ball, you got all that space, and, you versus a defensive back, you got to win at least 80, 90% of the time. So, I pulled the trigger, and it worked out well for me.
80, 90% of the time, you got to win. And it made me think of you and me being at a training camp. And I'm sitting there and I'm taking my notes, and we're just kind of hanging out at training camp. And I'm just jotting notes down here. Brian Robinson out the backfield. And he's just catching balls left and right. I didn't understand why they weren't using him in that way in Scott Turner's offense yet. But he had that couple of nice swing passes today or yesterday, and that one touchdown where he just laid that dude out, just lowered his shoulder and just ran his ass over. I mean, talk about getting posterized, if those are still a thing. Making NFT with B-Rob, just trucking that guy. And it's another facet of this offense that we can now start to build on, because the Texans said last week, when Brian Robinson was in, they stacked the box. When Antonio Gibson was in, they laid back, because they were more worried about Antonio Gibson catching the ball than running the ball. Well, guess what? You got to worry about them both now, because B-Rob's got some hands.
Two-headed monster, bro. I love it.
3, man. I mean, you said it earlier. I didn't know why Jonathan Williams was in. It was kind of odd to me, because looking on the sideline, I got a picture of it. Antonio Gibson wasn't in the tent. He wasn't banged up. He was standing there just with his jacket on, staying dry, staying warm, ready to go. And Williams came in. He had 4 carries for 22 yards, 5.5 average, had a long for 9 yards. I did get a little concerned because he was running in some of those holes and didn't have it covered up with 2 arms. But he did a good job, and he spelled AG so he could come in later on.
I think AG had a little bit of I'm not going to say he got hurt, but they thought he may have been concussed, and he went through a little bit of a protocol to make sure he was okay, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the reason why he was out that way. So yeah,
okay,
that's
because I
the
missed
reason-
that. They didn't say anything on the broadcast about
Mhm.
it, but it's exciting to see other guys that we saw at training camp, other guys that are on this roster contribute. Jonathan Williams, 4 for 22. You had John Bates, 3 for 24, and he had a touchdown. John's normally our blocking tight end. I mean, he
Tutty.
opened up a bunch of holes for B-Rob, busting that thing on the outside. And if he can now be another facet of this offense that defenses have to worry about, the numbers are going to go up on the point side.
Oh yeah. Oh
So-
yeah, and it's coming at the right time, bro.
It is.
It's coming at the right time. You can see that the playbook is starting to open up a little bit more, and it's starting to be more versatile. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it because Scott had a lot of motion. He was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and it was like a tennis match. I was looking left, right, trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? You know, just for that second. But I just said, all right, Steven. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, Cap. You know, all right, Cap. Just sit back and let it ride. And that's what I did, and I enjoyed the show, bro.
It was a damn good show. I mean, Jahan Dotson didn't have a catch. Curtis Samuel didn't even have a target, right? And we're talking about a win today. That is how smooth this machine is operating. And I was harping, man, 3 for 13 on third down last week. Well, this week, the boys stepped it up. We were 5 for 12. They did better. They moved the ball, 1 for 1 on fourth down. I mean, based on yesterday's game, who would you give your rally chain to?
Well, I got to break it down in quarters, Ted. I mean, and I know you don't want to hear that, but I got to break it down in quarters.
Unless you
bro.
take my player, but yeah.
Well, there's going to be 4 of them. So
okay, all
right.
right.
I got to give it to Defoe. All right. K
Okay.
Fool, B-Rob, and Payne.
Yeah, I mean, Defoe had 11 tackles, 8 solo, 11 tackles. I mean, that young man didn't play last year.
No.
He was hurt. He didn't do a ton. I mean, he is stepping up, and people are starting to get like T-Rex arms, man, like CeeLo arms, because they're scared when he's coming across the middle. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I think you're crazy.
The defense is starting to get a reputation. It's not just Duran and John up front. There was a clip of Nicky Javala put up there where John Allen is taking on 3 linemen and Duran Payne is taking on 2. And then you've got guys coming in and filling in that hole and stuffing that run and just doing what they got to do. The entire team is just definitely stepping up there. And Kendall, ever since past couple of weeks, because early on in the season, he was getting beat and he was getting beat bad. And
Texas toast, as we used to call it.
I don't know what it was, but it's turned around. And I'm just going to have to throw it to communication, because there's different guys back out that trust each other to be in the right spots. So I definitely agree with you there. And my Woodbridge Collectibles signature player was the run game. And from a running perspective, we put up 176 yards on the ground. So for me, it's got to go to Brian Robinson. I mean, B-Rob, 18 for 105, but none more important than that touchdown where he caught that thing and just trucked the guy, man. It's just 3 months, I think, he got shot in August. So 4 months since then?
Crazy.
And he's not 100% yet. Coach Randy Jordan was talking about how he's starting to finally see some spring in his step. So we talk about peaking at the right time. These guys are on the up, man, and it is damn exciting to watch. And I cannot wait to see what we do this week against New York, because it's a division game and we control our own destiny right now. And we're fighting. They're in the 6th seed and we're in the 7th. And if we can overtake them, we're going to keep moving on, man. But we'll have to talk about that on Wednesday. I am excited, and I am this close to maybe driving up there for the game. This close. We'll see, though. We'll see how it goes.
Don't tease, Ted. Don't tease.
Maybe we can carpool and, your boy's truck. We'll see what happens.
Good old Rodney. Yeah, man. Hey man, I'm happy. I'm hoping I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but hey man, let's just go ahead and continue this role that we're doing. As Tupac says, it's me against the world. It's the team against the world, man, and they're stacking them up, man, and I love it, and I can't wait to see what happens in New York. It's going to be a great game, division rival, and hey, the bye, then we bring it back home, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. But once again, as I always say, thank you guys for taking your time out of your day to listen to the DMV Mess Hall with Tailgate Ted and Rally Captain. And keep listening, keep subscribing, keep liking. It helps us. It goes a long way. Ted always tells you it goes a long way. And thank you guys once again for showing up at the stadium, because you guys repped it hard. And remember, you continue to rep it hard or don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted, and we'll be out.